Today's guest shot to overnight fame as dreamy Blaine on the Broadway-friendly TV hit Glee. Now he's actually on Broadway for a few weeks only in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Please welcome Darren Criss.
Hello. I just gotta say these are not black. There's like bluish
secrets
hue to them. Yeah.
You thought they were black.
When you watch them online, it's like they look black, but this is actually cooler to see in person.
Well, I'm glad that you watch it online. That's a good thing.
Yes, I do.
And welcome.
Thank
Thrilled
you.
to have you here.
Yeah.
You're a big, people on Broadway.com love Darren Criss.
Well, thank you. I love Broadway.com, so it's definitely a mutual relationship.
Whenever we put your name on it, like you can literally feel the traffic pulse.
Wow, cool. Yeah. Well, that's probably part of the wonderful rabid energy of a lot of the fans that have been supporting me since day one, since before Glee. They all exist online, so if you put anything online, they're right on it. It's like such a blessing. They're incredible. They're like the kids these days are just way better at internet stuff than any of us will ever be. So yeah,
so you're like 3 shows into your 3-week run on Broadway?
3 shows in, yeah.
How do you feel?
I mean, it's one of those things that like, if you're growing up, one day you will maybe go to college or you have a job. It's one of these things that you it's out there when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be doing this, but like if it was gonna happen, I always kind of revved up for it in some kind of subconscious way. So it finally happened, and I was just as elated and delighted with everything as everybody said it would be like, and my inarticulacy right now is born from this kind of overwhelming sensation of just how surreal it is. It's like it's just unbelievable.
I only saw like the last 10 minutes of the show the other night, and the last 10 minutes of the show were incredible. I saw you do Brotherhood of Man, which
cool.
Which seems like one of the hardest things to do. Is it hard to do?
Yeah, I will.
It didn't look. You didn't make it look hard.
Sure. Yes. No. Of course. I mean, it's all relative. I mean, yes, it's hard, but you're having so much fun. So I don't think of it in terms of being hard. And really, I'm thinking of it in terms of my main goal at that point is, okay, we got to make sure that this Wally Womper guy isn't going to fire everybody. Like that's the goal in that moment. Aside from not tripping and looking like an idiot. But yeah, that is definitely a blast. I think it's the most, at least in my knowledge. And this is all Rob Ashford, he definitely put his kind of mark and staple on the show, which is very cool for a revival, especially now. But that's a mark. I've never really seen a Brotherhood of Man that was so choreographed, really. So I guess the challenge of that is just trying to catch your breath, because there's a scene right after that where you're like, and you're trying to deliver your lines. So that's a challenge for sure. But it's just so fun. People are like, "How you doing? I hope you're having fun." I'm like, "How can I not? I'm having a blast." Like, are you watching this thing? It's definitely a mutual feeling between the audience and people on stage.
So, any flubs? I hear that you've been like sort of spot on.
Oh, there are all kinds of flubs.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Finch's character is that a flub is just a minor, it's just a diversion to another direction. You screw up, okay, we go that way, and you just keep going forward. Art imitates life a little bit because, when we were rehearsing, it's like, Darren, it's as if you're like being thrown into this, and you just got to go with it. I'm like, I don't know if I'll be acting. I think I'll probably just be living what has been happening, because it's a 2-week rehearsal period, and bam, baptism by fire.
Any of your flubs you want to share? Anything fun and embarrassing, or?
Yeah, I had there was a screw up. Not really a screw up. Nobody would have known but me. It's usually if there's like some kind of flub, you can share it with another actor. This was a completely personal experience that by the skin of my teeth, I fixed it in the last second, and I was like, this was like, if I'm watching the movie of my life, this is like my favorite scene of this How to Succeed movie so far. Is that during I Believe in You, which is like an iconic number. Like, wow, I can't believe I get to sing that amazing song. We have a little number with an electric shaver, and so it's hidden in the sink, and so the whole joke is, the other guys, they're doing the wet shave, whereas Finch is ahead of the game. He's got the electric shaver, no problem. It's going to take 2 seconds. So he's, I'm doing this, and then I drop it in the sink to check, the whiskers, and I look down, and if you've ever used an electric shaver, they're very like, they just break. You press a button, and just like it's if there is a brake button, like self-combust button. So springs everywhere, and it's a mess. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I literally have like 4 counts to bring it back up again for sort of the button of I wasn't done.
So it was in pieces?
It was in pieces, and I don't know how. Like, I tunnel vision, like, possessed, like manic, magic hands somehow. I have no idea how it happened. I'm so proud of myself. Just by the final second, like putting like militaristic, putting like a rifle together, right in the nick of time. Like,
look at that.
Yeah, like pun intended, nick in time. Well, that shouldn't have happened. I don't know. I got freaked out by it. I was like, "What does this mean?" So I wish I was that like useful at when other stuff breaks in my life. But it was so exhilarating. I could put it back together right in time. And the other thing that was kind of annoying about it is like I almost wish people saw this, because like it's like when you do something really cool and nobody sees it, you're like, damn it, I really needed somebody to see that. But that was an incredible moment for me. That was a personal triumph, other than opening on Broadway.
So you knew this show. Mm-hmm. You're like what, you're kind of a musical theater geek like the rest
Big
of us,
time.
right?
Yeah.
So have you seen this show before?
Oh yeah. You know, I mean, it's one of those. I always say I'm lucky with this show because I'm kind of like cheating, because first of all, it's an amazing show in itself. It's not like I'm doing a new show that we kind of have to find. It's a time-tested, time-honored piece. So it's like it feels like classic Broadway. So it's a hell of a show to make a debut in, because it's just a great role, a fun show, great songs. I mean, it just feels like that. Yeah, I'm going to see a show on Broadway. That's what this show is. Yeah. So yes, I'd known it just from, you know, there's obviously, you know, Brotherhood. One of the other films, Been a Long Day. I think it was maybe 10. I'm in a musical theater class. We did like a Frank Lesser like review. So, you know, I knew those songs, and I remember there was like a girl that I had a crush on that sang "Happy to Keep His Dinner Warm," so I thought it was like the greatest song ever, so that like sticks with me. But yes, I certainly did know the show, and I had the opportunity to see Dan do it right before I was kind of involved, which I'm so happy about, because I wasn't really kind of calculating anything about it. I could kind of enjoy it objectively. I'd heard whisperings about it, but I paid no mind to that, because they're just whispers. So I really, really loved it. I just like it when, like I said, you know, when you see a show that you know, and somebody adds something very distinct and very, very bold, to a classic work. And I think Rob did a hell of a job with that, and really added a fresh but nostalgic look at something that, you know, the theater geeks know. So it's such a thrill to be a part of it.
It's funny because when we sort of discovered you with Glee and with all your internet shenanigans, a lot of internet shenanigans that we love, immediately it was like, oh my God, we got to get this guy on Broadway. And and then it was like, well, I hope he wants to do Broadway, and I hope it happens soon. It all sort of happened a lot faster than maybe anyone thought.
Way faster. And for me growing up, my dream was to do, you know, like an original play on Broadway. That was like the way I saw myself as an actor, because I love Broadway, but I never thought I love desserts, but I would never go, you know, become a pastry chef. I just never thought I would be ever equipped to do that. So with Broadway, especially because I grew up loving a lot of classic Broadway, big sort of romantic, sweeping, booming, vibrato-ridden voices, and just that to me that's them. I'm a fan. I'm not going to do that. Not in a self-deprecating way, but that was just something that was for the professionals. And I went to school at University of Michigan and I wasn't in the musical theater department. I was in just the straight plays department. And I idolized, and a lot of those guys are people. There are two guys that are in the show, Dave Holt and Justin Keyes, who are just so phenomenal. And those were the people that in college I was like, man, these guys are the real deal. Man, I could never do that. They're amazing singers, dancers, actors, the whole nine. And I never thought I would do it myself. So it's crazy to be doing this. I mean, I've never wanted to say that I mean, my voice, I don't really have like a trained voice. I you know, as a singer-songwriter, I have pop sort of rock sentiment, and I'm fine with that. But I was kind of a little worried, because I really want to have that big sweeping Broadway voice, and I'm okay with not having that. But I try to make it work. I'm definitely an actor that can sing, and so the cool thing about Finch, especially Frank Lesser scores, is that those, you know, I would never do it like Oklahoma. That's just, I would ruin it. It'd be a terrible idea. But so something like this score, and Guys and Dolls and a lot of Lesser's work, is that it's more about the character, and Lesser was really wordy and very conversational and colloquial in the way he conveyed tunes, and that's fun for me, because something like Company Way, which is like a song, it's really just a conversation. And you know, even Robert Morse, you know, he could sing, but he talked his way through a lot of the song, which hits you just as well. So I kind of try to find the fine line between it. I'm not trying to sound great per se. I'm trying to fill the house, but for me, it's just trying to tell the story.
I was reading your stage credits on Wikipedia, and you played one of my favorite roles, which I guess you won't be doing on Broadway based on what you just said. You played the American in Chess.
I did.
How was your anthem?
In high
That's
school.
a hard song to sing.
No, that's the Russian. That's
you were the American. You were Freddie.
Freddie, yeah.
Pity the Child.
Pity the Child.
That's a hard song, but that's more of a rock song.
Yeah, that's like Led Zeppelin, like up there.
You can sing it right now if you want.
Oh no,
did you bring your guitar?
Yeah, there we go. I mean that in high school was tough because I was like in the depths of puberty, so like my voice was kind of pissed at me. I was like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, chess was kind of an ambitious thing to do in high school, but I remember really loving it. We had a great drama teacher by the name of Mark Bauman, who was such a cool guy. But yeah, I was the American, Pity the Child. I definitely screwed that up for about 2 weeks in high school. Yeah.
It sounds like you were sort of a child prodigy. You were doing a lot of musical instruments.
To say that I played things does not say that I was good at them. That's the fun trick. It's like saying I go to the gym every day, but I just go there to buy Gatorade. That's like my thing. I don't actually work out.
But how'd you get exposed? How'd you start doing all that? Your parents sort of lead you in that direction, or like take music lessons and acting?
Yeah. God bless my parents, because the greatest thing they ever gave to me was just unadulterated support, which I realize is kind of not normal. Had I been my parents and a 5-year-old kid went up to them and was like, "I want to be an actor," I'd be like, "That's nice. I want to have a golden castle made of marshmallows," but that's not really going to happen, is it? So they were just like, "Yep, cool. Let's figure out how to do that." I took class at the Young Conservatory, the American Conservatory Theatre in San Francisco. And when I was also 5, I just said I want to play the violin, and I started playing the violin. I played violin for 15 years, and while doing that, I picked up other instruments just because violin's a really great ear trainer. Mm-hmm. So I just picked up a lot of other things, and I loved acting and I loved music. Sometimes they would cross over, but it's just crazy that I, without knowing what my path would be, kind of inadvertently trained myself to do the things I would eventually do, which was something like Glee, which is, acting on camera, awesome, getting to sing, awesome, and they're, pop tunes and Broadway tunes. It's everything that I've loved. It's overwhelmingly humbling, and I just can't believe, it's too good to be true. I'm always very weary about any time these things, even Broadway, I'm like, after this, I'm like, what, I should just stop while I'm ahead. There's just no way I can get any better than this. What a treat,
So when you were 10, you actually stepped on stage, right? And you were in Fanny.
I was.
42nd Street Moon.
God love you. You know this stuff. That's awesome. There was an article in the Times, and it was Pat Healy who wrote it. He's a lovely guy. We had a great conversation. I think something I might have misled him. It said I didn't do musicals until Harry Potter musical in college, and I was like, oh my God,
you were Fanny. Hello.
All my friends are going to kill me that I was in musicals with my whole life.
And you made your Sondheim debut, Do I Hear a Waltz?
Do I Hear a Waltz?
Right after
yes!
that.
Yes, I did! That was with a great revival company in San Francisco called 42nd Street Moon.
Right.
They did concert versions of these kind of revival. A lot of people don't associate Do I Hear a Waltz as a Sondheim show. I think he was a lyricist, I think, on that one.
It's a stretch, but it's sort of
a
Sondheim.
He worked on it. He
Sondheim
definitely
show.
worked on it. Well, West Side Story is a Sondheim show.
Right, exactly.
Bernstein.
Exactly.
Both of them, so...
So stepping on stage in Fanny, was that challenging, or was it easy for you? Were you one of those kids that was like, look at me? Are you one of those?
I just really liked doing it. I was in school. Once again, my parents are so supportive. I'd go to class, soccer practice, violin lessons, the whole kit and caboodle. And then I'd go afterwards, do my homework in between, and go be in a run of a show. And that was really cool. I was raised backstage, which is I think I grew up a lot faster, not in a sort of lascivious way, but I just kind of I was around adults my whole young life. Yeah. So I kind of those were my friends, I guess. I had friends obviously my own age, but it was a really interesting way to grow up and to be around that kind of fun theater, family, friendly, affectionate, sentiment. It was always kind of ingrained into my bones.
And then you were working at the American Conservatory Theatre a little bit, right? Like a youth program there.
That's
so you must have been around a lot of professional actors.
A lot, yeah. I mean, more aspiring actors or just people my own age that were interested in the same thing. So I never felt this kind of. I was very lucky, Glee kind of portrays these kids who are into the arts being kind of marginalized, and that is prevalent through the country. Once again, I was the anomaly, the San Francisco, bubble of yay, it's very supported. But I did feel very supported, and I felt encouraged. I never. I didn't think it was going to come easy, but I certainly was like inspired to work hard at it, you know, more than not. But yeah, 42nd Street was a great company, and I did Babes in Arms, which is a great, because a lot of famous songs from that, and I'm a huge Rodgers and Hart fan, and I actually ended up using one of those songs for my audition for Blaine. I sang Where or When. I sang Where or When at the audition, then I want to sing a Broadway, and then I sang a Britney Spears song. So kind of sums me up.
Right, yeah.
That's like a little bit of pop, a little bit of musical theater, man.
So it sounds like you want to do you'd love to do a straight play on Broadway.
Yeah.
And I know that you did a lot of plays once you got to University of Michigan.
So many, I can't even.
You directed The Pillow Man, one of my favorite plays,
How
right?
the hell do you know this?
Wikipedia, it's not that hard.
Really? That's on my Wikipedia page?
There's a lot on Wikipedia.
God, Pillow Man was such a bummer for me because it was such a huge undertaking I wanted to do. It's such a guy. Martin McDonagh is like such a guy. He's like Tarantino of playwrights. You know, every dude wants to do one of those shows. And I would love to at some point. God, he's such a cool dude. But yeah, I really wanted to put a lot of time in that play. But you're in college, and you have I was in a play at that time. I was also trying to write a musical. I was trying to write music for a Harry Potter musical, which I ended up not doing until like the week before we opened.
Oh, wow.
And then I was also playing shows in Michigan with my band. So it was like, I've always been, I just like doing many different things. While I have the wherewithal, I just like going for it. It invigorates me, you know?
So if I was writing a $5 million check and I said, let's do a play with Darren Criss on Broadway, what play would you pick if we were going to, come on.
I would want to do a new work, probably. I'd love to originate a role, probably from like a playwright that I really admire.
Who do you like? Let's get them working on it.
I mean, this is like cool play 101, but obviously Martin McDonagh is like, you know, cool, and, you know, maybe.
He must watch Glee.
Yeah, definitely. That's right up his alley. Maybe if we had more guns and blood in it, maybe he'd be down with it. I mean, I'm cool with the way Glee is. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see Albie squeeze one more out, you know, maybe if he can. He's still kicking, right? He's definitely still around. I mean, who knows? Just to do any work on Broadway. It's all about doing really great work with people who you really admire to be working with. That's just it's not about, look at me, I'm on Broadway, or, you know, I'm doing a play, I'm doing a musical. It's just doing work that's really, that has a lot of soul to it. Right. That's the cool thing. I know that might sound like a typical artist thing to say, but it really is. That's why I'm in it. You know, it's fun playing and telling a story and really getting these strangers in a room to experience something together. Like that's what's up. So if it was a good show, bring it on.
I almost forgot you also played Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof.
I did.
I want
That's
to hear
why I
about
had my big beard. That was fun. I had a big old beard. Yeah, I had a beard.
Did you actually have to tell you, I miss your big bushy hair.
So do I. I know, it's weird.
I figured that must have been tough for you.
It's tough in the wintertime because it covered my ears. It's like I didn't have to wear a hat. It was just like this own little helmet of just like fro. The cool thing about high school is you can play these roles that you won't be able to play for several years. So I mean, if ever.
There's no video of that?
I'm sure there is somewhere. I mean, this was before the age of YouTube, so if it exists, it's on a VHS tape somewhere, you know. God, that'd be cool to watch that. I had so much fun. That's a great role. That's one of my favorite musicals. I think it's one of the greatest books.
Was that one of your great? If you had to say like your great roles we never saw, is that one of them, Tevye?
Well, it was one of my favorite roles playing, but I don't know if I would say I was great in it. That might be a stretch. I'd be curious to see any of that stuff from high school. I'm kind of jealous of these kids nowadays. That you know what I did before How to Succeed opened? I went home and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos of How to Succeed performances, and it's so fun. It's so inspiring, and I actually really enjoy going to see musicals at high schools in Los Angeles or here or wherever, because it kind of reminds you the fun like that these kids are having and like why you're a part of this. And there's this kind of like free, you know, the stakes aren't as high. I mean, these kids got homework to worry about, they got other stuff to do, maybe a football game the next day, I don't know.
Right.
That it's so fun. These kids find stuff because there's this the freedom of inhibition that is really inspiring, you know. It's like there's no production value, or maybe there is, but I watched a lot and I found some things. I was like, that's good. Very cool. I definitely lifted some things from my own.
You lifted some things from high school Finches?
Yeah, there were some really funny things that I wanted to use, but I was like, no, my Finch wouldn't do that.
So I know you're on a little break from Glee. So you're gonna, after your run, you're going back and...
Going right back. Literally, man, on Sunday the 22nd, I leave the theater with all my stuff. I go straight to the car, straight to the airport, just in time to make my 6 a.m. call on Monday in LA.
So you're gonna be...
Just bam.
So is Blaine gonna break Kurt's heart with Sebastian? What's happening?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gonna be turn into a bad guy?
I mean, that's, you know, speaking of plays that I want to do, I mean, playing the bad guy, everybody knows, is like the funnest thing.
Right.
It's not a secret. I mean, it's like every guy wants to be a bad guy. And, or maybe that's just me, but I think that's kind of the mentality. And Grant Gustin, who's a Broadway baby. Well, he was on Broadway, but he was touring for West Side Story. And he's one of these guys that I look at where I'm like, oh my God, you're the real deal. Like, you can really dance, you can sing, you know, the whole thing. So I'm like, wow, like, give me some pointers, man. That part, man. I was wondering, I was like, what would have happened if I was Sebastian and he was Blaine? And we were just like joking about that. Who knows? We'll never know. But yeah, I don't know. I certainly hope not. But if that did happen, I'd be open to the idea. Shake it up a little bit. I think he's a great addition to everything. It's always fun to spice it up a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of been focused on this show. I haven't read any of the scripts.
That's February.
That's February, yeah. I'm on a day-to-day basis. Like, people are like, what are you doing next Friday? I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing in the next 10 minutes, man. Like, give me a second. So we'll see. Who knows?
Well, hopefully we'll see you back on Broadway, right?
You know, down the road, I'd love to come back, whether it be a play, musical, or whatever, whether it be one of mine or somebody else's. That would be such a gift. I mean, it's such a breath of fresh air to be back in the theater, to be a part of a thing that I've been gone for a year or 2 years doing a TV thing. So being back in real time with people, you know, where it's a real experience is, not to say that Glee isn't, but you know, it's separated when you're filming.
Yeah.
It's, when you go to the opening or whatever, that happened a while ago, whereas this is happening now in the moment. So there's an immediacy that is just so intoxicating that I would hate to say that it's a one-night stand.
Well, you're at the Hirschfeld Theatre, How to Succeed in Business, through January 22nd. Thank you so much for coming. It was such a great pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, man. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.